Frankies do we have in the building? And another! Oh my, there are multiple. So, let's see. Oh, yeah, yes, it just is never ending. It's never ending. Hey, I need to do something tonight, first of all, because she was not with me at the Christmas party we had. My wife, Kim, would you raise your hand? This is my wife, Kim, sitting in the back there. We have been married 26 years. And I love her more and more every day. And you know, when you say you've been married 26 years, usually people are fairly impressed with that if they don't know us. If they know us, they're impressed with her. You know, like, oh, wow, you made it. That's unbelievable. So this is a special comedy night. How many of you are on a date tonight? This is like your date night. This is a date. Oh yeah, this is very good. Anybody here on a blind date? A blind date? Anybody here wish you were blind after you picked up your date? No, don't raise your hand for that. You know, dating is an interesting thing, because if you don't know the person and you go on a date, you tell your friends, I'm going on a blind date. If you go on the blind date and you end up really liking the person and you decide to continue dating them, then you tell your friends, I am now seeing them. So you've gone from being blind to now seeing. But if you continue to see them and you fall in love and you get married, then you stop hearing each other. So it's just really a weird way that it just kind of morphs over time. Wouldn't you agree with that? Yeah. So my wife and I know I'm going to share this here really quick. A lot of you probably would not agree with this, but we have a television in our bedrooms. And a lot of couples would say, okay, you should never have a television in your bedroom. It's not healthy, it's not good. We have one in our bedroom because we know that we're at the stage in life that we will never make it all the way through a movie. And so we might as well be comfortable while we're watching it, right? Otherwise, we have to fumble our way upstairs at 3 o'clock in the morning and try to turn off all the lights. This way, we're already there and we're really comfortable. Now, not too long ago, we were trying to decide a movie to watch, and there's nothing we wanted on Netflix or Hulu and all. So I go out in the garage, and I'm going through our box of DVDs that we've purchased over the years at Walmart. And I find this one, and we watch it. This is one of my favorite movies, Twister. You ever seen Twister with Helen Hunt? Oh, I love that movie. Isn't that great? Now, if you own this movie, when you go home tonight, I want you to do something. I want you to look at the back of the cover of this movie, because it says on there, PG-13 for intense depiction of very bad weather. It really says that. I didn't know we could rate the weather. Have any of you parents ever closed the curtains because the rain was just too inappropriate for kids their age? You know, is this where we get the term nasty weather? I mean, I have, you know, no kids, this is weather for mommies and daddies only. This is what we're going to do here. My wife and I, we were in bed one night. I'm a sound sleeper, and she has this thing where she will hear things in the middle of the night, but she never knows what she just heard. But it's never anything good. It's always really bad. It's never like, I think we just won the lottery. It's never like that. It's always, I think we're going to die. It's always kind of on that level of things. And one night, we were sound asleep. At least I was. And she starts to shake me. She says, Brad, what? Brad, wake up. It's what? I think someone broke in downstairs. I think someone's downstairs. I can hear him walking around. Now, guys, I'm comfortable. I'm warm. I was sound asleep, and I don't want to get up. And I'm like, let him have the TV. I don't even like it anyway. We need him. No, please, will you go? Will you check? So I'm thinking, do I bring my gun? The bat? I'll use these. So, why is that funny? So I throw the covers back, and I'm heading to the bedroom door, and I'm a little nervous. And I get halfway there, it's dark, I get halfway there, and Kim goes, Brad, And it scares me really bad. What? Be careful. So I start walking, I get over to the door, I just put my hand on the doorknob, and it dawns on me, I could die. This might be the last time I turn this doorknob. And as I'm turning it, I hear this voice behind me, Brad, what? Will you bring me back a water? There was never a bad guy. She's brilliant. She's like, you're closer, you know. You're already up. I'm like, oh, for crying out. So now I'm not very happy. I'm in a pretty bad mood. I go downstairs, I get a glass of water, I'm mumbling and get up there, I close the door, I hand her water, and now I'm pretty frustrated. She finishes her water, I crawl in the bed, I want to snuggle up with her. So I crawl in close to her, and this is what she does. Oh, no, you don't, you're freezing. Because I got you water. You asked. I couldn't believe it. You know, I don't know how many of you know this. I used to pastor a church in Kent. And when we were pastoring there, we loved the church. We loved the people. They were so good to us. This one time for Pastor's Appreciation, they ended up buying us a weekend away at Harrison Hot Springs in Canada up there. I'd never been there, but it's a really nice spa resort. You go up, okay. Well, it was all inclusive. Man, we get the room, we get the food, and they purchased us both a massage. And, you know, I gotta be honest, I wasn't sure what I felt about this because I had never had a massage before. And I was like, but I'm thinking, well, the church got it, must be legit. You know what I mean? It's like, I don't know. She's all excited for it, you know. So we get on the little bathrobe things and, you know, the little slippers. They're these little white, fluffy, come on, look, I got camouflage moccasins at home. You know what I mean? I'm walking down there. We get into the receptionist area of the massage place, and the gal goes, oh, welcome. She says, here, sign in here and have a seat, and as soon as your masseuse is ready, he'll come in and he'll call your name. We're like, okay, you know, so we're reading magazines, you know, and I'm still a little bit nervous, and next thing I know, I hear this, Kim, and I look up. It's Thor, the superhero. This guy's got long blonde hair, huge muscles. He was like, Kim, and I went, you know what? And I'm trying to do the whole time. I don't think so, right? And before I can say a word, she stands up and goes, bye. So she leaves with Thor, and I'm like, well, who am I gonna get? You know? And I'm sitting there thinking, I don't know. Next thing I know, Brett, I look, Grandpa Munster. I kid you not. This guy's like 106 years old, and he walks me, he's like, follow me. You know, he's doing this kind of thing. So then I get in there, and I put my head in that little toilet bowl thing, and I'm staring, and he's like, you're a little tense. Yeah, I wonder why. I mean, he gets done, we get done about the same time, and Kim comes out of her room, and I come out of my room, and Kim's going, oh, yeah, that was good. Oh, she goes, how was yours? I'm like, well, he didn't die. Let's just put it that way. I mean, you know, he's still alive. Well, I don't know about that. I've never had one since. Never had one since. But you know, I'm a lucky guy, as you can tell. My wife is gorgeous. You know, she is 47 years old and hotter than ever. Of course, it comes in flashes now, but she is really, really hot. Now, you know, we love to go on dates. We just went on a date yesterday, as a matter of fact. And, you know, it's the pressure around Valentine's Day. That's real pressure to go on a good date. You know what I mean? And we're always trying to figure out, you know, what should we do? Where should we go? And it's funny because it's the craziest thing. It doesn't matter where you go. And it doesn't matter who you're with, whether you're just with your girlfriend or your wife or your husband or boyfriend or you're with a group of friends. It doesn't matter if you're at McDonald's Or if you're at the Space Needle. There is this socially acceptable thing that we do to each other when we're there at the meal. We will turn and we'll go, I gotta go to the bathroom. And we leave. Why is that okay, I wonder? Because I'm thinking to myself, I want to do it different. I want to get up without saying a word. I want to leave, make them guess, come back and go, guess what I just did? But no one, that is not acceptable to do that. What I love is when they add on to it, like, I'm going to go to the bathroom. I'll be back. Or, is this becoming a problem? People leaving to go to the bathroom and never coming back? They get in there and they're like, this is amazing. You know, open the stall, say to a stranger, excuse me, could you go to the table in the far corner? My wife's wearing a vest. Could you tell her I'm actually not coming back? This is incredible. What do we do with this? So when we go out, it's an interesting thing because there's another thing that happens every time. And that is, when it comes to the food is important to me. It's not so important to her, but the dessert is very important to her. And what will happen is she'll maybe order a type of a dessert, and she'll say to me, oh, you should try this. No, I'm good. You know, because I'm not a huge dessert guy. No, try. Oh, let's just try this. Nah, I don't want to try. And then she gets angry that I don't want to try something that I don't want to try, which doesn't make sense to me. Please, just why don't you want to try it? I don't like lemon. It's a lemon pie. You can't barely taste it. Why have it lemon then? I don't understand. And then it gets so frustrating that you finally try a bite. Well, I don't like it. It's lemon. You make me so mad. You know what? I told you from the beginning. I don't want to bite. Or the other scenario that will happen is we'll have dinner and the waitress will come up and say, would you like some dessert? I'm not sure. And my wife will say, I'll just have a bite of his. That means he'll just have a bite of his. Because she will eat all but a bite. And that's when the selfishness that lies within me comes to the surface, because when she says, I'll just have a bite of his, my first inclination is, no, I want my own. You know what I mean? Let's just kind of go, I want my own. I want to have my own dessert tonight. So, you'll notice we're not sharing a dessert tonight. I gotta have that dessert all to myself. Now, here's an interesting thing. Restaurants. Did you know that back in September, a poll was taken across the entire United States? Apparently, a poll was taken, and it was proven that the United States voted Taco Bell is the best Mexican restaurant in America. This is true. You can Google it. Taco Bell is the best. Listen, if you're in this room and you're Mexican, you should be very offended right now, okay? Taco Bell is the best Mexican restaurant? Look, if there was ever a sign that the end is coming and Jesus is returning, it's right now if you think that Taco Bell is the best. And I've thought through this, and you might say to yourself, well, how could that happen? Here's the only possible thing I think could possibly make this happen. It's because more and more states in our nation are legalizing marijuana. That is the only... It's like a Munchie's paradise. Yeah. Have you ever seen their menu? The people in the lab making up the menu have to be high to come up with this kind of stuff. Triple, double burritos, it's so long. And you know, you kind of just, what is that lab like? We should triple, double it. I mean, come on. I don't like Taco Bell, I like Taco Time. I don't like Taco Bell. I mean, it's nice you can feed your family for $1.65, but I don't like to go. The last time I was there, though, I pulled up into the drive-thru. Now listen, at most fast food drive-thrus, when you pull up, they go through a little intercom, hello, welcome to McDonald's, can I take your order, please? Or welcome to Burger King, can I take your order? I pull up this nighttime, I pull up this thing, I roll down my window, and this is what I hear. Hey, How you doing? And I looked because I thought someone had walked up to my car. And I put my head out the window. And I looked again and I said, I'm sorry, what? And they said, hey, how you doing? I said, well, I'm at Taco Bell. I can't be doing that well. Financially, emotionally, or physically once I leave this place. So they asked me to make my order. So I'm telling them what I want, and I get done, and I even say, okay, that's it. And he says, would you like triple-double burrito with that? No. No, thanks. Would you like some nachos? No, I think I probably would have said that if I wanted those. No, thanks. Would you like some cinnamon sticks? I'm like, listen, I don't even want Taco Bell when I'm broke. Can we just get on with this, okay? Now, in July of this year, Taco Bell announced that in Las Vegas, you can now get married at Taco Bell. I'm not making this up. It's part of the menu. I'll take a burrito, a nachos, and I'll get married. And they said that they have a room where they can seat up to 15 of your family and closest friends. And part of the deal, the bride and groom both get a Taco Bell t-shirt. And they will give you and your guests the 12-pack of tacos. Now, I'm not very good at math, but it's a room for 15 people, and I get 12 tacos, and the bride gets a bouquet made out of hot sauce packets. I am not making this up. Nothing like spending your honeymoon in the bathroom, is there? I mean, wow. When the minister reads the vows, they say, I do. It's just a crazy thing. So, you know, the Valentine's Day has passed, but there's always that pressure of getting a good gift. One of the things that we have given to each other for years is the heart candies with these special messages on them. And the nice thing with these candies are, if you can't read the message, if it's distorted or it's too small, you can always write it on the sidewalk or the wall because the candy's made out of chalk. So that's a nice benefit of it. And they just announced, Necco's has just announced that after 116 years of making this candy, they're no longer making it. I know, isn't that sad? But my wife and I, we are determined. We are going to continue giving each other these little chalk candies that have messages on them. The thing is they all say the same thing, Tums, you know, but we're going to just, we're just going to keep giving them, show our love for one another. Has your spouse or special someone ever given you a gift that you didn't ask for and didn't want? Well, I was getting ready for bed one night, and I looked on my pillow, and there's this weird thing on my pillow. I didn't know what it was. I picked it up, and I don't even know. I said, what is this? And she says, it's for you. I said, well, what is it? She said, it's a chin strap. A chin strap. Velcros around your head. I thought it was a thong. I had no idea what it was. I was like, I don't even know how to use this. And I said, well, what's it do? She says, you're wearing it. I said, I'm not wearing this. Why would I wear this? She goes, because it keeps your big mouth shut during the night so you don't snore all night long. I said, I'm not wearing this. Yes, you are. No, I'm not. Yes, you are. I said, I'll tell you what, I'll make you a deal. I'll wear it at nighttime when we're asleep. If you wear it during the day, we'll wear it at Yep, I said that because I am the man of the house. Now, I want you to know this. I do not wear that chin strap. I haven't worn it. I also want you to know that ever since that conversation, my wife has not heard me snore either. You see, our couch is downstairs at the far end of the house. Yes. All right, listen, we have a lot more planned tonight. We're gonna do a lot of fun. We got some guests here that I'm gonna bring up and introduce right now. Then I'm gonna come up in a little while. But let me start by just bringing up Dave Bechtold. Come on up here, Dave. Give Dave a hand. Dave's my buddy. Dave, where are you from?
From Madison, Wisconsin.
Madison, Wisconsin. Therefore, we can blame all the snow and the cold air on Dave and his wife for coming here. They brought it with them. Dave, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Am I on? Yeah. Oh, yeah. I like that. Well, hello. I'm Dave. I'm from Madison. And
I think we covered that, Dave.
Okay, good. Yeah, I'm showing.
Oh, okay.
Your set went a little long, and so.
You gotta turn it on.
Turn on.
Yeah, there's one button, and you flip it on, and then it's on.
Okay.
I think it's the
Check. Can you hear me now?
O-N.
Welcome to Taco Bell. Can I take your order? Okay, very good. Yes, so we have 4 kids, 3 kids in college, 1 kid in high school, and you've met them all.
I have.
Yes, Brett has slept on my couch.
I have. I get the couch wherever I go. It's a gift that I have.
So I introduced Brett to Culver's. Has anyone here ever been to a Culver's or heard of Culver's? Culver's is something in the Midwest. A Butterburger, Culver's Butterburger. It's like a fast food place with carpet, and it's awesome. And so you can come to Culver's, and then you get custard. They don't call it ice cream or hamburgers, it's custard and Butterburgers. I think it's all the same thing. They just wanted to market it a little better.
It's very good. It's very good. Hey, because I did go too long, I think we should bring your wife up here, and I should trade with her. I'll go sit down, and she should come up here.
Okay, well, I was going to tell all kinds of stories about you. Yes, bring my wife up here. She's prettier, and it is so good to see you.
Well, I do agree that she's pretty. Good to see you. And man, this guy, I got to tell you this. I don't know if you know the comedian Michael Jr., but Dave is so close to Michael. At least he's had conversations with him. Tell him the one thing Michael said to you that one time.
Oh,
was
yes.
so special.
So Michael Jr., very famous comedian that no one here has heard of. But I got to go and pick him up from his hotel because he was performing at our church. And so it was a sold-out place, and so we went and picked him up. I had seen him several times in Chicago, and I just laugh at everything that he says. It's just great. So I went and go, thank you for bringing this up, by the way. So I'm like, I get to go pick up Michael Jr. from his hotel room, and so I mean, it's great. So I finally, it's an opportunity to clean out the front end of my car, you know what I mean? So I actually vacuumed everything, and I'm like, I'm gonna go pick up Michael Jr. So I go over there to the hotel, and I'm out front in my Hyundai, you know, and hey, it's gonna be all nice and clean in here. The car's only worth $4,000, but hey, he's gonna get a clean ride. So he's coming over here. I can't wait to talk to him, and I'm like, well, what would he want? You know, I'll just set the music right, you know, and all of a sudden, some other dude comes out. He's like, "Are you here from Michael Jr.?" "Yeah." "Well, I'm Antonio, his agent." "Okay, great." And so then he comes out, and Antonio comes out, opens the door, and I'm like, "All right, here he comes." And Antonio gets right in the front seat. Michael Jr. gets in the back where all my junk is. You know? So he's back there, and Antonio gives me like the 10-minute speech before Michael Jr. gets in the car. He's like, "Okay, Michael, you know, it's just like a little headspace, you know, a little quietness before we get there. So let's just drive to the church." And okay, great, you know. So I got the music on nice and low, and everything. If he wants to talk to him and tell him about that joke and the things that I like, and tell him one of my jokes and see if he thinks I'm funny. And so I'm just waiting for the right moment, and he's just kind of in there having his moments, and Antonio's just talking it up with me. I'm like, "Dude, I don't want to talk to you." I mean, I didn't say that, but that's what I was thinking. We finally come up to a stop sign, or stoplight, and "Hey, driver." "Yes, Michael Jr.?" "You turn that music off?" That was my conversation with my hero. So, for that reason and several other reasons, Brett Hollis is my new comedy hero. So, let's give it up for Brett Hollis. So, this is my wife, Sarah.
Hi, everybody.
And it's great to be here. We met Pastor Brad and Brenda and Pastor Earl, Pastor Matt. We met them at convention, and it's so good to be here finally. We've been trying to arrange this for almost a year, and so it was nice to meet you guys, and it's nice to meet you. Most of you look really good tonight, and I'm just I'm thankful that you're here, and I'm glad to be here. I just want to give you a little bit of a plug. Matt started about the family workshop tomorrow. Family workshop could sound boring, but it's going to be a lot of fun. If you've got kids, whether they're elementary school, middle school, high school, college students, whoever's living at home, bring them. This is going to be a great interactive time that we're going to do stuff for your families. It's not going to be just us doing a lot of talking up here. There's going to be a lot of moving around. There's going to be some interactive things around your table. We're going to be sharing some food together. There's going to be just giving you some opportunities to connect with your kids in a real special way. So kids, bring your parents. Parents, bring your kids, and we're going to have just a great few hours together. So 9:30 kicks off. If you want the best food, show up early. And if we're done early, we can beat the Lutherans to the buffet. So and we'll all work together and make it a really good morning. So I wanted to say that about that. Tonight, though, we're going to be talking a little bit about marriage. We've been married. This is my first wife, Sarah. And only.
We've been married 24 years, 25 this year.
Yes.
Wow. They're clapping for me.
I get it. So, but what we're going to do is I need you to find out at your table whose birthday is closest to today, and then I need that person to come up here. So we're going to do this really quickly. So look around your table and find out whose birthday is closest to today. Send them up here because we have something for your table. Whoever's birthday is closest to today, come on up here and pick out something from my wife.
I still have to stay in chair for a minute, Daniel, if you want to sit down.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, I gotta plug my phone in, and then I'm like 7% battery. My daughter's home alone.
Sorry if this question was too difficult for the people at your table, but there's still a few more tables left that need to come on up here. Okay. If you're holding the sign, would you stand up at your table? Okay, stand up. All right. The rest of us are going to sing a quick version of Happy Birthday, okay? And when it comes to their name, we're just going to say Happy Birthday again. Are you ready? Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, happy birthday. Happy birthday to you. Let's give a round of applause. All right. Okay, you're welcome. Thank you very much. Sit down. No, please. You may be seated. Thank you. That takes so long. I mean, sit down is so much more efficient. So anyway, now I just made all the introverts mad at me. Okay, so here's the question. Show the sign to your table. Table members, don't be offended yet. And I want you to go around your table and tell the rest of your table, where would you put this sign? Go. Tell your table. Okay, here's what I'd like you to do. If you're not done, I want you to stand. Whoever's holding the sign right now, stand up and switch it with a table near you. Go. Switch it with another table. Where would you put this sign and why? who would like to introduce us to somebody at your table and tell us where they would put a certain sign? So you're not going to talk about yourself, because that's no fun. Let's talk about somebody else. Okay? So think about somebody at your table that would put a sign somewhere. Raise your hand if you want to introduce us to that person and where they would put that sign. Okay, run, Sarah.
He put away by the doghouse.
Very good. Jim, are you familiar with the doghouse? Oh. All right, we got one back here. I just like watching my wife run, so.
This is my beautiful wife, Sherry. She has a great idea for the sign.
In front of the cat door.
What's the sign? That's good. I have a dyslexic cat who always goes into the pots drawer when we hold that up. That's okay. I'm dyslexic, so I'm not just an accuser, I'm a client as well. Anyone else want to introduce us to someone at your table? Okay, does anyone like anybody at their table? During the intermission, we can switch it up, all right? All right, good. All right.
We have one.
We have one more. Do not enter.
Sure. So Candy and my husband Stan and Chris and Stan both said they put it on the garage door.
Do not enter the garage. Okay, that's the man.
Do not enter.
The man portion of the house. Okay, all right. Oh, we've got one over here. This man's holding a caution sign. I'm a little concerned.
And I thought we were going to put it on the refrigerator.
Caution on the refrigerator. Okay.
Who's the cook?
Well, you know, you look into the refrigerator, and my wife's in the other room. I'm like, honey, is this any good? What is it? I don't know. Could be meat. Could be cake. It's good. Put it back. Why would I ever get anything? You know, it's meat cake. Ladies and gentlemen, my wife, Sarah, would you please welcome her? All right. So I'm curious. Would you stand up if you are currently married? All right. Exclamation. Excellent. Wonderful. All right. Raise your hand if you were quasi-dragged here tonight. Okay. Quasi means somewhat. It's a French word. Okay. All right. Good. All right. Thank you very much. Can we give a round of applause for the married couples? All right. Raise your hand if you'd like to be married someday. Okay. Good. Raise your hand if you. Okay, we're going to take a short break and dim the lights, and be back with you in a few minutes. All right. Well, we just want to share. We've been married for almost 25 years, and when Pastor Brad, Pastor Matt were talking with us, they said, "Well, just share something with the couples that would come tonight." You know, and I realize that there are more people than just couples here, but we want to share some things that have made us somewhat happily married over the last 25 years, and some things that have worked for us. So I just want to let you know that we are very different people, different from each other. Raise your hand if you married someone that has several differences from you. Okay, good. All right, wow. Somebody over here did not put on deodorant tonight, so if you could just we'll raise this part of your hand. Question, okay? I don't know. Someone over here did not brush their teeth, because when there was some yawning, anyway.
That's not what we're talking about.
It's not, but I'm just giving some data, okay? So we realized, Sarah's like, she wants to just check things off the list. She wants to solve problems. She doesn't want to talk about it. She's a man. I want to feel, I want to listen, I want to know exactly why things are happening. And so it's kind of funny when people talk, want to come up here, sweetheart? When people talk about, stereotypical men and women stuff, I'm just like, hey, you're the dude, and I'm the girl, because she just wants to fix things. I just, no, honey, I just need you to listen to me, And she's like, I just want to fix it so we can get out of this little pit that you're in, so you can move ahead and we can get things done. She's like, she's get her done and I'm get her fun. I just want to play. What's next? Where's the party? What are we doing
I
next?
do delegate, though, and make you do all the heavy lifting and the outside work and shoveling.
Yes. Thank you for delegating, queen. But we have realized over the years, we spent about 15 years of our marriage painfully trying to understand each other, which is a noble thing to do. We want to understand each other. Why does she do that? What makes her tick? Why is she so good at solving problems? Why is she so good at keeping things clean? I can't find a thing, and I couldn't solve a problem if my life depended on it.
Why doesn't he ever put anything away?
Why is he so good looking? And just the different things that we wonder.
I don't know how to answer that.
Yes, but the worse her eyesight gets, the better I've been looking. So anyway. So we realized something. We stopped trying to understand each other because we realized that even if we were going to be married 80 years, we would never fully understand each other because there's still things that I just don't get about her, and there's things that she just doesn't understand why or how I operate this way. So we stopped trying to understand each other, and instead we started appreciating each other. Now that just sounds just like a switching of words, but we realized that God made each one of us a unique way, and we function well when we're free to be who God made us to be, instead of trying to get the other one to continually change to be a little more like us. Now, it means that she needs to lighten up a little bit and have some fun once in a while, and it means that I need to get a little more responsible and take care of business and put things away. So we realize that, we can't just be stuck in our own ways, but we need to be free to be who we are. So we stopped trying to understand each other, which actually freed up a lot of time and energy and space and emotion, and we started appreciating the good things about each other and just kind of laughing at the things that we don't understand about each other. So anyway, I just want to put that in your pocket.
Praise God.
Wow, praise God.
Praise God. It's Pentecostal church, baby.
God made us. He figured that out, and then we figured it out. So I want to talk about something else that has definitely helped us, communication. So over the years, that is probably like the number one thing I would say with being married is just communicate. We communicate about everything. He gives me a weird look. He touches me under the table when we're talking to other people. Like, what does that mean? Let's talk about it. Maybe not right there. I mean, I'm appropriate, but still, just communication about everything. That has helped a ton. And then something else we do with our communication, if we're not agreeing on something, and it's, you get in the situation where I don't see it your way, or one of our kids is doing something and I just don't agree, but we have to leave now. We have to go somewhere. Life is moving. We have to do something. What are we going to do with this tension right here? We have just agreed to push pause on the conversation. So we're just going to put it on pause. That means, yes, we know we both we'll talk about it later, but right now we can get on with our life, and we can get along, and we can be...
And we can deal with the house guests that just rang the doorbell. Even though we're totally in the midst of this conflict right now, we can put the conversation on pause. See, usually I'm the guilty party that has created the angst between said relationship. But putting the conversation on pause is a great opportunity for us to know that we're going to come back to it. We're just going to put it on the shelf for a little bit. We're not just going to pretend it never happened. We're going to pick it up later. But then, whoever, especially the guilty party is, needs to be faithful in unpausing that conversation later. So then we can actually go to church and we don't have to put on the praise the Lord face. But we can just pinch, church. And we can actually have the conversation later when we're at a better time to have it. And sometimes it's just okay to go to bed not angry, but just go to bed and realizing that, this is going to take more than a day to figure out.
And you need sleep sometimes. You just need to sleep.
Yes, sleep.
Keep your head on straight.
And some dark chocolate. And a little bit of Netflix. And the conversation is just a little easier to have the next day. So it's just okay to not have the whole conversation right now, right at once, and realize that you can pick it up later on. Something else that we've done that's just really important, something I've done for myself and something that we've done in our marriage over the years, is if you need help, get help. See a marriage counselor. It doesn't mean your life is in shambles. See a marriage counselor before your life gets in shambles. And if your life is in shambles and your marriage is in a bad place, find a third party that you can trust that will ask good and direct questions, that will give him an opportunity to talk for 5 minutes while she's forced to listen. And he'll give her an opportunity to talk for 5 minutes while he's forced to listen. And then it's a good opportunity for us to hear what each other's really thinking, because there are just some issues that have just come up over the years, or just one of us is in a bad place or a frustrated place or an overwhelmed place, where we just need someone else to just guide our conversation because we're just not seeing eye to eye. And it doesn't mean that we're failures at life or marriage. It just means that hopefully we're wise enough and humble enough when we need help, to get counseling, to to find a pastor, to find a trusted friend, to find someone that's not on his side, not on her side. Okay. The church custodian is.
I leave and I hit the button on accident.
Okay. You should be like a bowling announcer. I leaned and I bent over and then I touched the switch with my elbow on accident. Back after this commercial break. Thank you for joining us at the Masters. Okay.
What is bowling called? I don't know.
Bowling, Masters. You weren't supposed to call it out. It was two sports. All right. Go ahead, baby.
Okay, I want to talk about communication again, just briefly.
Whatever.
So, redo. So communication, just being nice to each other. You know, you see a lot of couples that just say things to each other, and it's like, dude, you don't talk to me that way. Why are you talking to someone you actually live with and actually say you love that way? So I think a lot of stuff would be solved if we would just be nice to each other, or treat each other like we treat other people. And also, when you're not around that person, and we've probably all been around married couples where when you're just with one of the spouses, they might talk down about the other person or whatever, and it's just being honoring when you're not around the other person. Makes a huge difference, I think. And if someone's talking to me about their lame loser husband, just like, I try to turn the conversation. Tell me something good about it. I mean, if you're going to only talk about...
I thought you were going to say, I can relate. Yeah, empathy is really important in those relationships.
But I'm trying to think of good advice.
Yes, and you are. And I'm here to spoil everything secret. Thank you very much. I'm here all weekend. That's good, and you do well. 1 Corinthians, Paul says, love keeps no record of wrongs. And I hear so many people fussing about their spouse. Well, what did you marry them for? It doesn't matter at this point. You're married. Do the best you can and do your part. You can't control what your spouse does. You can't control what anybody else does, but you control what you do. You can control your attitude, your heart, what comes out of your mouth, and you can honor one another in that communication. So, speak well of each other. When we were getting married, we were getting married at a church in Chicago, Illinois, and this precious old man in our church, just such a great saint, had been there for so many years, well into his 80s, and he was about 4.5 feet tall. Jim Watson, and Jim and Sarah Watson, and he came up to me and shook my hand, and he's like, David, you're going to get married this Saturday. I said, I know. And he said, and Sarah, she's going to be radiant. And I said, yeah. And then he gripped my hand with both of his hands, and he said, 20 years from now, if she's not still radiant, it's your fault. And I just felt like I got taken out to the woodshed and got a whooping, man. But he wasn't spanking me, he wasn't punishing me, he was just instilling in me a revelation of the power that I have to make this woman shine for a long period of time, or to make her turn into the old hag. That so many people who just are not treated well are. So anyway, my 20-year contract is up. And we're 4 years into the new contract. There was an extension policy. But I'd like to say that everybody who knows my wife, and some who don't, would say that she is radiant. That word has been used to describe you for many, many years. And I want to just say that I have taken that. I can remember, I can feel his warm, bony, strong hands to this day, and I can feel that fist going into my chest 20 years from now. If she's not still radiant, it's your fault. And the same thing with you, ladies. You have the power to make your husband shine. You have the power to make your husband strong. Even when it seems like he doesn't deserve it. You know what? He's never going to deserve it. But Jesus doesn't give us what he deserves. He gives us what we're worth. And we're worth a lot to him. So just keep a record of the things that are good. Because if you start mentioning those things in public and in private, your husband will shine and he will soar and he will become the person that you're hoping that he'll be. But it's not because you're making him be that person. It's because you're taking care of your part as well. So 20 years from now, if your spouse is just in a bad way, our job is to make them shine, to make them radiate.
And I've talked to a lot of wives that, I wish my husband was a leader in the home. I wish my husband would do this and that. But yet they lead all the time, and they just do everything and tell them how lousy
counseling, and I'll know this guy, and he's just a great guy, and I mean, going to lunch with him is great, you know, and his wife, she's wonderful, she's so nice, and then they're getting together in my office, and they're just like, and I'm just like, dude, if you would treat your wife half as nice as you treated me, she'd do anything you wanted. And sweetheart, if you would just be as kind, half as kind to your husband as you are to me and the other people in this church, I mean, I think he'd be happy to lead you, and he would be happy to give you whatever you'd like, you know, but there's just sometimes we just get into that place where we just can't see eye to eye or face to face or figure it out.
Or it becomes competition.
Yes,
Yeah.
and some of us get into that place and it's like, whoa, that happened a long time ago and we're just really growing apart. I'll tell you what, find someone that you can trust. Find someone that'll lead you through some repair for this thing, because I'll tell you what, God just doesn't want us to survive in our marriage. He wants us to thrive, and He wants us to be trophies of His grace. It's not about what we've done. It's not about what we can do. It's about who He is and what He's done, because we can do all things through Christ who strengthens us. His power is made perfect in our weakness. When we are weak, then we are strong. The joy of the Lord is our strength, and joy is not dependent on our circumstances. Joy is not dependent on our great marriage. Joy isn't dependent on all of our kids following Christ and being missionaries around the world. Joy isn't dependent on our good job or that the washing machine didn't break this week. Joy is deeper than that. Joy is based on something that is in hope in Christ, and that hope does not disappoint. So basically, if we are not close to God individually, we're not going to be very useful or helpful to one another, because otherwise it's like two ticks and no dog. It's like, you know, just two people wanting something from each other that neither one of them was meant to give. The only one that's the true source of all good things is God Himself. And so it's my responsibility as the husband, as a man, as God's son, to press into God, to know His Word, to live my life in truth and kindness, to be like Jesus, so that when she sees me, she sees a little bit more of Jesus every day than she sees of me. And Jesus is a lot more attractive than me. And the same thing with her. I mean, as pretty as she is and as wonderful as you are, the thing that attracted me to you most a long time ago, and still does, is who you are in Jesus and what you let Him do. And you're radiating something greater than you can put together yourself. And that's something that we can lead each other to when we're in bad places. We can point each other to God. So that's good news.
So that leads to one more thing I wanted to talk
Go,
about,
baby.
which is the way we get close to God is prayer, talking to Him, hanging around with Him by talking to Him. And that was something we decided a few years back, like, you know, we both pray, but we never really pray together because we're different. And so we just decided, let's try this. Let's try to pray together. That could maybe strengthen our relationship at an interesting level. Let's see what happens. And it was really weird. Like, let's make a list of all things we're going to pray for. Let's pray through the list. Check it off. We're done. And he's like, we have to have the right lamps on and the music playing in the background. And then we'll just flow with it and we'll play the music. I mean, it was just, I had no time frame. I didn't, like, when's it ending? When did it start yet? I don't really know what's going on. And so we got together. I mean, I think we tried it. We quit. We're like, that's weird. But we're like, no, this is probably a good thing. This is important. Let's really try. So we've developed a system now. I like system.
She likes system. If I could call it a system or put it on a task list, no matter how spiritual it is, she'll do it. As long as it can be checked off a list, she'll be happy to
And
do it.
there's coffee involved now.
And there's coffee, yes. So if I light a nice warm fire in the morning and make strong hot coffee, I will get her to stumble out of the room and wander down to me. And then we'll be able to share some time in the morning. And you know what? Our prayers are not very exciting prayers.
You read the Bible first. That really helps.
That does help. That's true. Yeah, she helps me with the big words. So we read through it together, and then we pray out of the Scripture. So I mean, that sounds so godly and holy, but it's just after we read, it just gives us something solid and powerful to pray. And we just hold hands and we just pray a prayer. And sometimes we're just not in the mood. Sometimes we just are still working through something ourselves. But this is our way of saying, God, you are first. And we give you this day. And then at night, when we're in our room with our TV, before Netflix goes on, we hold hands and we pray for our day. We're usually praying for our kids and the people that are in our lives. And so that's how we do it. And I'll tell you what, it's just been a system that we've started. And those prayers, as simple and unimpressive as they have been steady and faithful. And I'll tell you what, God is steady and faithful. And marriage and life in this world is not supposed to be run fast, but it's supposed to be run to the finish. And it's not to be done alone. So we want to do it well as we can. So in our weakness, we trust in God to be our strength. Okay, we've got some dice on your table. So I'd like everyone at your table to get one of the dice that is in the middle of your table. Okay. Don't fight over the colors. And then I'd like you to stand up. You have a job right now. You have a job to find the other 6 or 7 people in this room that have the same exact die as you. That's a new game. Go!
Green.
There we go.
Green, yellow. Green. Alright, when you get to your group, come to a corner of the room. Find a little spot where you can gather together.
Yellow.
Oh, yellow. Hi.
Yellow. Hi, yellow. Hi, yellow. Another yellow. Triple yellow. Hey, there's our brother from another mother, yellow.
Alright, get together in a circle or wherever you're at.
Yellow.
If you think this is awkward, just wait. No, just kidding.
Yellow.
Okay, so if you're a little crowded, move up. We got lots of room up here.
Aha.
We got
Yellow.
smoking, non-smoking, light a window. All right, very good.
Okay.
Okay, you have
Who's feeling lucky?
30 seconds to look at the strange people that are in your group and introduce yourself to the people that you don't know.
Oh, pick me. Pick
Go.
me. Oh.
What's your name?
Don.
Don. Jamie.
Randy.
My name is Crystal.
Crystal. Crystal, Don, Jamie.
We all have the same
Randy. Jerry.
Oh,
Oh, yellow. Yellow.
his name is Dawson.
Dawson. Oh, boy.
What? Jamie?
Don.
Oh, Don, wait, let me try to look. There we go.
All right. So what's your name?
Dawson.
Here's the question.
Oh, boy. Let's see.
Not everybody is going to be able to answer this because
I still love him.
we don't have that much time.
Is there any?
But the question is this. What is your favorite room in your home? Okay? So, we don't need long explanations. Just go around and say, what's the favorite room in your home? Go.
My bathroom. I have a cool bathroom.
Mine's a garage. Kitchen.
My shop.
Shop.
It's not in the house, though, but that room, living room.
Living room.
Yeah.
I have to see.
Kitchen.
Cooks. You guys both cook? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. That's true.
You cook?
Every Wednesday he cooks here.
Really? You're cooking for me, huh?
Brings a great
Okay,
You could
raise
do
your
that.
hand if you chose. Well, let's see.
Okay.
Back there, what was a group? What was a room in the house?
Kitchen and bedroom.
Okay, is that like one room? Is that a small house? Who said kitchen? Okay, who said bedroom? Okay. Who said bathroom? Okay. I see that.
Moms, you can be alone, right?
What other rooms?
Living room.
The living room, okay.
Garage.
Garage, which is not necessarily a room, but I know that would be argued by many. Yes?
It's a man cave, but mine's separate.
Whichever room is clean.
You have a man cave?
Okay. Okay, here's what I'd like you to do. I'd like you to split your group up in half and create 2 circles. Figure out how you're going to do that. Go. You got 10 seconds. Just 2 circles.
2 circles.
Well, we have 3 and 3, right?
All right, let's even out the numbers.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
All
Here's the question.
Our next question. Are you more like your mom or your dad? Go.
Is that a hard
But I'm a
dad
mama's
thing?
boy.
Your mama's boy?
I'm a mama's boy, but my dad for sure.
You were like your dad. Yeah.
Okay, why?
Well, I feel like everybody sees a little bit of both of them, but then you do definitely see yourself more.
We have the same laugh.
Well, your dad.
It's like, or I don't know how to do it.
You can't pretend to do it.
Okay, why did you guys, you two ladies, choose mom?
I feel like I'm outgoing, like my mom.
All right, who is more like their mom? Who's more like their dad? All right. Okay.
Anybody say both because you just couldn't pick?
Yeah.
All right, who met somebody for the first time tonight? Okay. Oh, really? Okay. Good.
Yeah.
Likes that person.
Who likes
I've
that?
never met that, yeah.
Some hands still go up.
Randy.
All right, that is great. Well, listen, let's give your groups a round of applause. You can go back to your tables, all right? Well,
Good job, everybody.
Yeah.
you can just put the dice in the center of the table.
What's that wrong? What's Jamie? What's your name?
She causing trouble again.
What is it?
That's Dawson. Dawson Morgan.
Remember that.
All right. Well, I just want to invite you back tomorrow. If you've got kids living at home, this is a great place to be. Tomorrow morning, you get to sleep in, you get to come, we'll feed you, we'll have some more interactive fun like this, but we'll be doing it with the families. So, just keep in mind, your home is a good place. Your kids have a special room in their house, and you're going to find out what that is tomorrow. Your kids are going to find out who they think they're more like. Are they more like mom? Are they more like dad? You're going to be able to share with them some special things that make us who we are. You know what's great is that no matter whether we're in marriage, whether we're a student, whether we're an employee, whether we're a neighbor, a husband, a wife, a boyfriend, a girlfriend, a buddy across the street, whatever it is, we are more than just what we see on the outside. The Bible says that people look at the outward appearance, but God looks at the heart. You know what? The heart is really created by God, and the heart is tended to, nurtured, and grown by the people that we spend intimate time with, and that's the people in our family. Sometimes that's great. Sometimes that makes our heart sore. Sometimes it makes our heart sick, especially at Thanksgiving and Christmas for some of us. But, yes, can I get a witness? Table, clean up on table 7. Okay, so I just want to say that tomorrow it's going to be a fun day with you and your families. And if you know any other families that you'd like to bring, this would be a great place. We want to fill this room with kids, teenagers, parents, and families. So thank you so much for having us. We look forward to a great weekend with you guys. And I'd like to invite Mr. Brett Hollis back up here to close out our time tonight. Would you give it up for Mr. Brett?
Thank you. Brenda, are you leaving? I saw you put your scarf and jacket on. Are you done? Are you just done for the night? Hey, didn't they do great? Can we give them a hand? I love them. They are so much fun. And 2 ticks and no dog. That is a new one for me. I like that. That's a good one. So, it's the middle of the day. People were in a bank doing some banking. All of a sudden, boom, the doors break open. This guy with a big gun, mask on, he starts yelling, "Everybody, this is a robbery! Everybody, put your hands up!" And people are putting their hands up, and everybody's scared. He starts going around, he's gripping stuff out of people's hands and out of their pockets, and he's putting it in his bag, and he fumbles along the way, and all of a sudden his mask comes off. And he grabs the mask, and he puts it back on, and he turns to the guy, this young guy standing next to him, and he says, "Did you see my face?" "Go, Pastor." And then, hey, I'm telling the joke. Just as see my face? And the guy was scared. He didn't want to lie. He says, yeah. He shoots him. He turns to this older lady standing there and he goes, did you see my face? And she goes, no, but I think my husband did. That same elderly couple on Valentine's Day, they went to the park, and they're sitting on a park bench. They're just relaxing, and pretty soon the younger couple comes and sits right across the path from them on another bench. They're just sitting there, and they're just kind of sitting there watching the birds and watching people go by, and all of a sudden that younger couple, boy, a guy puts his arm around her, and kind of starts kissing her on the cheek a little bit, then on her neck, and then they just start kissing. I mean, just really, really kissing. And the older woman across the path just squeezes her husband's hand and she says, I sure wish you would do that. And he said, okay, but I don't even know her. Communication is so important. As you heard, the Bechtolds talked about communication in a marriage. It's so funny, Sarah, that you brought up the whole squeezing under the table thing. Kim and I, we were out to lunch one time with some people, and some of them we're pretty close to, and this person there, I'm not going to go into details, but they were just one of those people. They're just kind of non-stop talking and a little bit annoying. You know what I mean? Just kind of one. And we showed up late, so I am, of course, sitting next to that person. And as he's going on and on and on, Kim reaches her hand under the table and squeezes my leg to say, you know, isn't this annoying? I'm so sorry you have to sit here. So we keep talking, and the guy keeps going on, and about 3 or 4 minutes later, I just reach under the table, and I grab Kim's leg, and I squeeze it, and she goes, what? And I was like, and so I squeezed it again like, maybe you didn't understand. And she said, what do you want? I want to know how this works, because obviously I do it wrong. I knew what you meant, you for some reason don't know what I mean. Communication is very important for couples. A lot of times, some big communication happens around the time of having a child. If the wife gets pregnant and they're going to have a child, a lot of the clear communication comes with, what are we going to name the child? You want to agree on the name of the child. My parents told us that if we had been girls, you know, I mean, your parents, they have this was before the big reveals, you know what I mean? This is when you just had to wait until you're in the hospital to find out what you had. So they had both sets picked out. They had boy names picked out and they had girl names picked out. My parents said to me and my brother, had you been born girls, Brett, you would have been Tisha Linnell. Okay, I can live with that. Tisha, Tish, that's fine. My older brother, if he would have been born a girl, my parents were going to name him Chanella Manette. Now, they were not hippies, so I know drugs were not involved. The only thing I can figure is they were at some Pentecostal revival meeting. Hallelujah, Chanella Manette. I don't know. It's the only thing I can figure. Good thing he was born a boy. Yeah, and the thing is as parents, how many of you in this room have kids? How many have kids? Okay, good. Okay, so you can, listen. So as parents, you try to train the kids to be proper in public. Because there's nothing worse than, how many of you have almost gone into cardiac arrest because of something your kids said in public that was very, very embarrassing? So my parents, when they were raising us, and they had to, because probably the most embarrassing thing is if a kid has to go to the bathroom. You want your kids to be able to say things properly in public if you have to go to the bathroom. Now, I grew up in the 70s, and when I was growing up, the number system was a very popular one. You know, I gotta go 1, I gotta go 2. You know, it's pretty simple. When everyone else, all my friends, everybody at school is on the number system, oh no, my parents have to be different. My parents taught us, I'm not making this up, they taught us, you need to say, I either have to go little boy or big boy. And it worked pretty good for a while. Until the first time we pulled up to a Bob's Big Boy hamburger restaurant. I remember my mom turning around, you boys hungry? Oh, no. No, we don't. We had kids. We did not do the little boy, big boy thing. We went straight to the numbers. But when we did it, we have a 21-year-old and a 24-year-old now, but when they were, I believe it was 5 and 7, we went to the Olive Garden, and we were a little concerned what might happen in public. You always are. And my daughter wanted to order for the first time ever on her own. She had never ordered by herself. She had her children's menu. She wanted to order for herself. Okay, we can do that. So the waitress comes over, and my wife orders, and I order, and my son orders, and then my daughter goes to order. Now, you have to know this about my kids. My daughter has always been the very shy one, gets nervous in front of people. My son has no patience, especially with my daughter. So the waitress looks at my daughter, and she goes, my son's like, come on, she's like, I'll have and my son had enough, and as a big brother, he spoke for her, and he said, she wants to strip in chicks. Oh. And our eyes got very large, and I said, I think he meant chicken strips. And the waitress says, not at this restaurant, honey, just like that. That's good. Now, it was crazy. Growing up, my parents, they kind of confused us a little bit because the things they would teach us, I grew up in church. My dad was one of the deacons and an usher. My mom was like the head pianist, and they were always involved. We were in church all the time. And they were rule followers. I mean, we had to obey the law, we had to obey the rules of school, all stuff. But there was one rule, my parents, even though we were church, there was one rule that they always let us break. And that was sneaking candy into the movie theater. They said, well, it's not justified, so we need, And so I grew up with this strange, dichotomy here. And the funny thing is we would go to the gas station right next to the theater, and you would pile the candy up on the counter. And it's always fun to watch parents when they do this, because the guy would be like, beep, what movie are you going to go see? Beep, And to watch parents go, we just like to drive around and eat a lot of calories. I mean, so we did. And the thing is I was not a very smart child. I know that you may find that surprising, but I would not pick the easy to hide candies. I always picked like the Charleston Chew, that looked like a yardstick in my pant leg, so I'm walking in like this, can't. And I knew, we had this unsaid rule that if we get caught, mom and dad are going to act like they don't know you. So I knew if I got caught, it would be like an episode out of Cops. Like, these aren't my pants. It's hard to. Here's the other thing. My mom had a pet peeve, and she drilled this into us from the time we were real little. Her pet peeve was this. Anytime someone spit, she hated it. Like, she thought that was just rude and disgusting. And if she saw someone spit, we wouldn't even know. Like, if it was a kid around our age, and we didn't even know him, we'd be driving down the road, she'd see him spit. It was always a teachable moment. That is wrong. I better never hear of you spitting. Okay, all right. This same mom, every Sunday morning before I get out of the car, would spit into a tissue and wipe it all over my face to clean my face. The dried cereal, the milk, So it's disgusting unless you spit it on your child? I I was sitting in a parking lot yesterday waiting for my wife. She's shopping, and this car pulls in front of me, and a woman in the car spit on a tissue and began to clean her kid's face. And the kids always have the same expressions, like, you know, and she just pulls, you know, and she did it again and again and again. I'm like, I have not seen animals use as much saliva on their babies as you just did. So my mom would do this in Sunday. She'd send me to Sunday school. Well, by the time you get there, the spit has all dried. They think you have some skin disease, and they all want to pray for you. It's just a very awkward thing. Parenting can be tough. Now, I want to tell you this one last story. My wife, again, we were in bed again. Now, this time it was a little different because it was me and our infant son and my wife. Now, I know some of you parents are sitting here going, oh, well, there's a problem right there. You should never have your baby in bed with you. They'll never leave. Now, I want to tell you, our son is 24 years old, and the last place he wants to be tonight is in bed between the two of us. They'll leave. Stop judging. They'll leave. So we were sound asleep, and the next thing I know, my son, who's an infant, just screams, ah! And I wake up, and the moment he starts screaming, my wife starts screaming, ah! And I have no idea what's going on. I'm thinking they're being attacked. Now, the problem is, I don't have a lamp next to my bed to turn on. I don't have a cell phone with a flashlight on it because it's 1995. I have to get up out of bed and get to the other side of the room to turn on the light switch, to turn around and see what's happening to my family. And they're both laying there, ah! I jump out of bed. I'll admit, on the way to the light, I'm doing it like this. Because I don't know who's in, right? So I find the wall, and I turn on the light, and I turn around like this, and there's no one there except my son and my wife laying in bed. Ah! And I look, and our bedroom window's closed and locked. There's no one under the bed. There's nothing. I'm like, what? My wife cannot talk. She's in hysterics. My son, and I go and I pick up my son, and he's got this deformity on his head. And I look closer, and it's huge teeth marks in his forehead. It looks like he has two mouths. Like, ah! Ah! And I'm rocking him. I'm like, what? And actually, my wife's trying to catch her breath, and she goes, I bit him! Oh, yeah. You think you're confused. I was like, why? Are you hungry? Why would you do that? She was I was having this nightmare, and this guy had his arm around my neck, and he was choking me, and I went to bite his arm, and Brady's head was there. Now, I didn't say it out loud, but I looked at his head, and I thought, whoa, if she ever needs dentures, we could use his forehead for a molding, because these are deep, you know? And it was a Saturday night. We had church the next day, and she says, I'm not going to church tomorrow. She goes, I'm not taking him out of this house until his head heals. I said, well, we might want to talk homeschooling, honey. I mean, you took a chunk. I mean, that's... Yeah. And she thinks I need a chin strap. I mean, that's the... So, I'll tell you, here's the thing, is she got offended when I started wearing a helmet to bed. But I'm like, you gotta protect yourself. You don't know when she's gonna have another nightmare, you know? Actually, I'll tell you the only positive thing about this whole situation was that for the next 3 weeks, anytime she got mad at me, I'd say, well, don't bite my head off! I mean, come on! Okay. Now listen, I love my wife. She does not have the mic. I do, so I want to say in front of everyone, I love her. She's fantastic. She's amazing. My kids, I think she's a better parent than I am. If my kids were here, they would vouch for that. She has made a much bigger impression on them than I ever have. So, Hey, you guys have been great. I love you all. Have a great night. Come back tomorrow. Pastor Matt, come on up. Thank you so much.
Brett, I have so many questions. We could do an extra hour of question and answer.
Oh, sure.
I think the question we all want answered is, okay, so Chanela Monet, what was the name given? What was his name? What's your brother's name?
Brandon is his
Brandon. So they went from Chanela Monet
Yes.
to Brandon.
Yes.
And yours was
Tisha Linnell.
Tisha Linnell, and they went to Brett.
Yes.
It just doesn't add up.
I know.
It's just
I
one,
know.
They're pretty extreme. Anyways, hey, thank you everybody for coming. Yeah, that was a whole lot of fun. And this weekend we really just want to bless you. We want to bless families. Tomorrow, 9:30 is breakfast. And you know, if married couples come, you got kids, bring them. If you're an adult living with an elderly parent, come. If you're a single parent, come. It is family morning, not just like married couples morning. It's family morning. So anyone that what about like someone who has hamsters? Is that where we draw the line? If it's you and hamsters,
We draw the line at gerbils.
don't bring a tank full of hamsters. Okay. So if you want to come, if you have any capacity of family and you want to come and be blessed, you want to spend more time with Dave and Sarah, come back tomorrow. And then Sunday, he's preaching Sunday 10:30, and we're grateful for him being here. We're grateful for Brett being here. We really just want to be a blessing to your families and encouragement to your families going forward. So let's give them one more round of applause and thank you. That was a whole lot of fun. And Earl's doing some MyMac back there. I'm not sure what it is. Let's see, what has he got going on? Okay, I know he wants your trash in the trash can. I just thought I'd draw everyone's attention to you so they could all see that fun charade that you were doing. I'm going to invite Pastor Brad up. He's going to close us in a word of prayer and hang around, socialize. Thank you so much for coming. Pastor Brad, why don't you come close us with a word?
Okay, thanks for coming tonight. Lord, we thank you so much for the spouses you've given to us, Father, the relationships that we have, God, the opportunities we have to grow, to learn, God, that we can live in grace to others, Father. We thank you for the grace you've given to us, the love that you have for us, and help us to grow to know that more, Jesus. Pray that you bless each person tonight as they leave from here. In your holy name, amen.
Amen.
You guys are good, you're good sport. I know, yeah. I'm sure you did. You're a good sport, man.
Everything is set.
Nice on me, Carl.
I know, and you did great. So you guys are here from Minnesota, just I think you're gonna preach on Sunday. Yeah,
Hey, dude. Thanks a lot again. You bet, man. Good to meet you, man. You're Nicole, right? Who are you with? I'm with
I wish I could have a table like that. Just come in, just so you make a lot